It's our time to bring you up to speed with the latest in the world of business. My name is Paa Kwasi Schandorf. To our very first story, the Ghana Upstream Petroleum Chamber hints of plans to further engage government on the implementation of 3 new tax measures. We'll hear from the chief executive of the chamber.
Must continue, because I think it's extremely important that the challenges that it brings to business are clearly understood. So that engagement will go on.
Now, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority allays fears of impact of the domestic debt exchange program on pension funds, indicating that it is working to avert any form of agitation from fund managers and beneficiaries.
Funds are exempted. It is quite recently that some conversations have started coming. But you see, there's a grandfather in the house who can talk for members, so we don't need to go and pick it.
Plus, United Nations commits $500 million to support Ghana's Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework.
To move to a stronger and broader set of partnerships. The UN can achieve this only through SDG 17, with a focus on catalytic and transformative elements. As I said to you earlier, everything is important, but some things are more important than others.
We have details. Do stay. Now, council member of the Food and Beverages Association, John Awuni, has said that the newly imposed taxes by the government will not work in the interest of the private sector. According to him, demands in the market are already low, while the cost of production is excessively high, adding that businesses will have to pass down the cost of these new taxes to consumers. He spoke on the marketplace.
We are aware, the government is aware about the effect of whatever they are doing. But we want to give them a synopsis or a brief on the effect of their policy from 2017 to today on pricing in the country, where most goods like a bag of rice was 150 cedis. Today we are dealing with 600 cedis. Sugar was about same thing. Today we are dealing with about 585 cedis per bag. You can talk about anything. Bread was like 5 cedis. Today we are dealing with bread of 20 cedis. Eggs, a crate of eggs was like 60 cedis. We are dealing with about 50 cedis per egg. A carton of chicken was like 40 cedis. Today we are dealing with about 360 cedis. See, we want to come up with a paper, and we are putting that together. In the next couple of days, we intend to engage government to look at this. Because we are supposed to be partners in development, and you can't come out with these things, and we are crying, and nobody, it appears to be like it's a state capture. We have captured the state, we will do whatever we want. You can say what you want to do, but we will also do what we want to do. And you are in affairs of the state, in the interest of the private sector, in the interest of individuals, in the interest of households. You cannot do things say that you want to please yourself at the detriment of the people. If you want to survive a revived economy, how have you explained to us where we are, aside the blame of Ukraine and then whatever not? Are we the only people who Ukraine and then whatever COVID has affected? Will reflect immediately as we engage the government. Cost will reflect immediately because nobody is going to bear that cost. And what I'm saying is going to have a cascading effect. It's going to have complete multiplier effect because as the cost already, demand is very low in the market. Now, no business owner is capable of eroding his capital by bearing these taxes. So the growth and sustainability tax that players in industry will pay 2.5%, and it's supposed to be passed to the consumer. Let the consumer bring the money, and then we will give it to the government.
Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry is warning that any move by banks to review their investment and lending decisions could further worsen the plight of businesses. According to the chamber, already businesses are really under the effect of the harsh economic climate, thereby threatening their sustainability. Therefore, they say that any move by the banks will spell doom for the economy. Mark Bedu Abuaji, I beg your pardon, is the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and has been speaking to Joy Business.
Profit definitely is going to be affected. Now, for the banks themselves, they are not making their profits, and I go back to the impact of these three new taxes. Now you are imposing additional taxes on these banks in spite of the difficulties they are going through. So definitely, we are saying that we don't want businesses to expand. And for me, if you are not careful, the performance of the economy in 2023 will be worse than what we experienced in 2022. Our GDP performance in 2022 was not good. If you look at the industry sector, it was the worst performing among the sectors. Drill down to the manufacturing sector, which is my major concern, we realized that it also contracted by 2.5%, which means a number of factors, including lack of funding, is also impeding their activities. So basically, a survival strategy to ensure that you wait when things improve.
Now, the Bank of Ghana says that it has made several provisions to protect local fintech companies. This comes after fintech players took a swipe at the central bank for its failure to address some gaps. Meanwhile, head of fintech and innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Kwame Upon, speaking to Joy Business at a stakeholder meeting on fintech development organized by Templars law firm, indicated that his outfit is working assiduously to support all players within the space to drive growth.
The discussion explored many opportunities and challenges associated with fintech in Ghana. According to Kwame Upon, investment within the fintech space in the country is large.
So I think from a Bank of Ghana standpoint, we are continuing to evolve policy to support the development of fintech, particularly as we see both local and international interest in investing in fintech in Ghana. And so what we have begun from the perspective of interaction and engagement with industry to understand the emerging opportunities for them and see how we can also support and promote it without compromising our core mandate around stability, etc. I think those are things that we'll continue to do. And also, perhaps finally, to add, we do see a significant opportunity for even more collaboration, not just among fintechs, but between fintechs and other financial institutions within the country, within the safe framework and ambit that the central bank provides. And so we'll continue to guide the path of innovation and the development of fintech, because we think there's an opportunity to drive financial inclusion, an opportunity to drive investment, and an opportunity to really enhance the overall livelihood of the average Ghanaian.
Head of Legal and Corporate Affairs, Mobile Money Limited, MTN Ghana, Paa Kwasi said the integration of technology into offerings by financial services companies to improve their use and delivery to consumers is supporting the financial inclusion agenda.
Of course, with any regulation, there are usually gaps, right? And it's important for the players to engage with the regulator. Once you engage with the regulator, you bring out what the gaps are, bring it to the attention, because we are the ones within the system, and they are sort of the enablers of the system. So how do we ensure that, say, products we churn out are fit for consumers? How do we ensure that we are complying with what the regulations say? We do have stakeholder engagements with a regulator on a frequent basis, and what that does is it brings things that are not necessarily on the table of the regulator. It brings those things to sort of top of mind.
On her part, partner Templars Ghana, Dolphy Mensah, called for more discussion on fintech development in the country.
We collaborated with the international law firm Clifford Chance to put together this fintech roundtable, because we consider fintech to be an area that must be discussed.
Champions Ghana is one of the largest full-service law firms with its offices in Nigeria and collaborated with Clifford Chance, a UK-based law firm, to organize the Technology Summit on perspective on fintech in Ghana.
Now, the National Pensions Regulatory Authority has allayed fears of any impact of government's debt exchange program on pension funds, according to the Assistant Manager of Standards and Compliance at the NPRA, Emmanuel Abrokwa. The authority is currently intervening for members so that there would not be the need for agitation or picketing in the event of any unforeseen circumstances of a new debt exchange program.
For the past 2 hours, we had been in a meeting with WAMI and WAMA. It looks a little confusing. West African Monetary Institute and then West African Monetary Agency. Now, the meeting is looking at the impact of whatever you and I are experiencing, debt exchange and its issues on the pensions fund. And one thing that became critical is that when individual bondholders are suffering and their coupons are not coming and they don't have anywhere to go, the only place that they run to is their provident fund and by extension their personal pension schemes. Because as you are aware, pension funds are exempted. It is quite recently that some conversations have started coming. But you see, there's a grandfather in the house who can talk for members, so we don't need to go and pick it at the Ministry of what? Finance.
That was the Assistant Manager of Standards and Compliance at the NPRA, Emmanuel Abrokwa, who spoke at the launch of a new Tier 3 pension product by Metropolitan Pensions Trust Ghana Limited, known as the Smart Save Personal Pensions Plan. Speaking at the event, Mr. Abrokwa indicated that only 415,000 workers in the country are currently registered on the Tier 3 pension scheme. There's more in the following report.
The Pensions Regulatory Authority, NPRA, has bemoaned the low participation of workers in Tier 3 pension schemes. According to Assistant Manager of Standards and Compliance at the NPRA, Emmanuel Abrokwa, out of a total of 415,000 workers registered on various personal pension schemes in the country, less than half of them are from the informal sector.
We realize that the informal sector is woefully not represented within the space. And so for the authority, any project, any product, anything that a trustee is doing that is bringing people into the pension space, especially the informal sector, we give our blessing before we even look at the details.
For his part, Acting Chief Executive of Metropolitan Ghana, Dr. Rafik Daudi, admonished the informal sector to take up the personal pension product specially designed to supplement their retirement benefit.
We're trying to encourage people to begin to have that consciousness about planning towards their retirement. Because it's not just about living in your retirement, but it's about planning to have a life in retirement. And that is why we are encouraging people to plan towards their retirement. And it starts from now. There is no better time to start planning towards the retirement other than now. And for everybody, you take advantage of this and then try to plan towards your own retirement.
Meanwhile, Board Chair of Metropolitan Ghana, Beatrice Bridget Ofei, said the Smart Save Personal Pensions product seeks to address the poor savings culture in the country.
This Smart Save Personal Pension Scheme is an excellent solution to this problem, since it is designed to help individuals save towards a fulfilling, and to borrow your word, a great lifetime during your retirement, regardless of whether you work in the formal or informal sector. I'm well informed that the scheme also provides various benefits, such as flexible contribution options, free life insurance cover, and access to mortgage and short-term loan facilities. Truly, this is in keeping with our mission of being a truly lifetime financial wellness partner.
Delivering a PowerPoint presentation on how the Smart Safe Pensions Plan works, Executive Head of Metropolitan Pensions Trust Ghana, Isaka Ibrahim, indicated that contributions to the Smart Safe Personal Pensions Plan are invested in diversified asset portfolios, hence beneficiaries should not worry about risks.
When the monies come in, we invest in diversified portfolio of assets. We all know how straight the investment environment currently is, but I want to invest in assets that gives you reliability, that when you actually go on retirement, you can actually come to us and we'll be able to pay you your money, plus all the interest that you've actually earned.
The official launch of the Metropolitan Pensions Trust Smart Safe was on the theme, Your Money, Your Plan, Your Future.
Away from that, the United Nations has committed an amount of $500 million to support Ghana's quest to achieve its Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework. This, according to the UN Resident Coordinator Charles Sabani, is to cushion Ghana in pushing for inclusive economic transformation, equitable access to basic social services, and durable peace and stability in the country. Addressing the media at his signing event at the Ministry of Finance, he also called for a deepened rapport between Ghana and the United Nations.
The signing of the cooperation framework demonstrates the UN's commitment to stand with Ghana on its forward-looking ambition to accelerate the achievement of the SDGs and Agenda 2063. Starting from 2023 to 2025, the United Nations will deploy an estimated amount of $500 million to empower institutions and people through capacity development and other provisions. According to the UN Resident Coordinator, this is to help promote resilience, improve disaster preparedness and response, and strengthen accountability.
To move to a stronger and broader set of partnerships. The UN can achieve this only through SDG 17, with a focus on catalytic and transformative elements. As I said to you earlier, everything is important, but some things are more important than others. Ensuring that we bring all our effort around the most important things that can drive change will be key. Because this is what will propel Ghana on its pathway to self-reliance, a focus on increased capacity and accountability to Ghanaians, and a more joined-up, efficient UN in Ghana. The UN makes its firm commitment to support Ghana in this way and stands in solidarity with the country as it strives to recover from the significant challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, the triple planetary crisis, pollution, climate change, and biodiversity loss, and the impacts of global crises, including the war in Ukraine that has triggered a global tri-dimensional threat to food, energy, and finance, among other factors. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's not solely focusing on outlining our programmatic contributions. The document also represents new ways of working, a shift from a siloed approach to a more integrated approach towards achieving this agenda, the spirit of partnership with across government, private sector, civil society, as well as within UN agencies.
Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, said, "This is to propel Ghana on its pathway to self-reliance."
It is no more secret to all of you that just like many countries, Ghana has faced economic challenges recently because of the global shocks that are known to all of us. As a result of this, we have had to go to the IMF to seek support for a homegrown program that we call PCPEG. We reached a staff-level agreement in December last year, and since then, we have been working tirelessly to complete all prior actions required to present Ghana's program to the IMF Executive Board for approval. The inclusive, resilient, sustainable economic growth and transformation component aligns with our transformation agenda of moving to an export-led economy, leveraging on trade.
The implementation of this cooperation framework will be guided by and accountable to a UN government joint steering committee co-chaired by the Minister for Finance and the UN resident coordinator.
Now, the International Financial Corporation, IFC, has pledged its commitment to support Ghana's efforts in addressing the impact of climate change on the financial sector while promoting the green economy in a more sustainable manner. According to the country manager in charge of West Africa, Kyle Kelhofer, countries that have imbibed the environmental sustainable governance principles in their financial systems have seen greater increments in sustainable financing. He spoke to Joy Business at the launch of the integrated ESG program for Ghana.
This builds upon work that's been taking place here in Ghana for nearly 10 years, where IFC has been supporting the stakeholders in general, including the banks, but in particularly the Ghana Central Bank, on Ghana's implementation of the sustainable banking principles, which leverage the IFC performance standards that are globally both for ESG and corporate governance and are used by over 100 development finance institutions and the Equator principal commercial institutions globally. So in that regard, Ghana has a leg up and is moving along. What we're here today, though, is to launch a program to help accelerate the implementation of this program for increased implementation here in Ghana throughout the banking sector and to trickle on down through the real sector supported by the banking sector. And we just see real opportunities. Again, this is ESG and corporate governance helping both mitigate potential risks of environmental harm and damages, but also to help Ghana seize the opportunities for a greener, more sustainable economy and help address the impacts of climate change. IFC, this is in our DNA of supporting institutions around the world and countries around the world for greener and more sustainable economies. And this is important. You know, IFC, we're very proud to have provided over $4 billion worth of financing to Ghana in the last 10 years. But we're equally, if not more, proud that this $4 billion has come with standards, ENS, corporate governance, social, etc., that stakeholders have bought into, that allows those stakeholders to operate more effectively and attract additional financing, not just from IFC and development finance institutions, but from commercial institutions. And so they've become easier to access finance to help address their needs here in Ghana going forward by adopting the sustainable banking principles.
Away from that, the Fisheries Ministry has pledged to cut the importation of fish into the country. According to its Deputy Minister Moses Enim, it will adequately support local fish farmers to boost fish production. He was speaking at a dinner and awards night organized by the Chamber of Aquaculture in Ghana.
I decided to rear catfish, not purposely for commercial reason, but I wanted to learn through your difficulties, so that if somebody comes along to tell me the feed cost is 70% of the total production cost, I should believe it. And I can tell you for a fact that even that 70% might have been a decade position. So what do we do then? It's up to us to work together. The academia, the researchers, we have to come together and solve the bottlenecks and remove the hurdles on the way and make sure that the cost of production come down.
Well, clam is a type of shellfish used for various delicacies across the globe. In Ghana, it is popularly known as adode. In today's episode of Food Chain, Joy Business's Emma Davis, explores the life stages of a clam in Ghana, from harvesting to the plate.
Clam is a type of shellfish that is high in nutritional density. In Ghana, it is popularly known as adode. It is also a source of livelihood for people along the Volta region and the Greater Accra region. 19-year-old William Stibiding does this for a living.
This is the most common job among young guys here in Ada. We harvest them in the lake and move the clams to a water body with less salt and leave them for about a year for them to grow.
So you can't sell it like this?
like
Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't sell the clams this size.
But why must you change the position?
We changed the location also because other people keep their stock here. It is not exclusive to us. This is my main source of livelihood since I don't have formal education. If I am not on the league, I run an Okada business.
Apart from with the Okada,
so how do you take care of it?
We sprinkle water on them from time to time to keep them alive.
What are
The full episode will air on Saturday at 6 p.m. on the Joy News channel. But of course, congratulations to Emma Davis for winning the Aquaculture Journalist of the Year 2022. That's all for News Tonight. My name is Business Tonight. I beg your pardon. My name is Paa Kwasi Schandorf. Up next is updates outside of our local jurisdiction.